NASA just revealed the machines that will build the first moon base. For more than 50 years, the moon has waited in silence, a pale, ancient world hanging above Earth, close enough to see with our eyes, yet distant enough to feel almost impossible.
The last Apollo astronauts left their footprints there in 1972. Since then, those footprints have remained untouched, frozen in dust, preserved in vacuum, surrounded by a silence deeper than any desert on Earth.
But now, something is changing. NASA has revealed the machines that could begin the next chapter of human history. New lunar rovers, uncrewed cargo landers, and robotic scouts designed to explore one of the most dangerous places on the moon, the lunar South Pole. This is not just another space mission. This is the beginning of the moon base era. And if it works, the moon will no longer be just a destination. It will become humanity's first outpost on another world.
The story begins at the lunar South Pole, a region unlike anywhere astronauts have ever explored.
When we imagine the moon, we often picture a gray, lifeless desert beneath a black sky. But the South Pole is far more extreme. Here, sunlight strikes the surface at low angles, creating long shadows across crater rims, ridges, cliffs, and ancient impact basins.
Some areas may receive long periods of sunlight, which makes them valuable for solar power. But nearby, other regions sit in permanent darkness. Inside these shadowed craters, temperatures can fall to some of the coldest levels in the solar system. Sunlight has not touched some of these places for billions of years, and hidden inside that darkness may be one of the most important resources in space: water ice. On Earth, water is life. On the moon, water could be civilization. If astronauts can access lunar ice, it could be used for drinking water. It could be broken into oxygen for breathing. It could even be separated into hydrogen and oxygen, the ingredients of rocket fuel. That means the moon may not only become a place to visit, it could become a refueling station, a science base, a construction site, a launch point for Mars. But there is a problem. The lunar South Pole is dangerous. The terrain is rough, the lighting is harsh, the shadows are deep. Communication can be difficult. Temperatures swing violently. Lunar dust clings to everything. And unlike Earth, there is no atmosphere, no magnetic shield, and no rescue team nearby. Every movement on the moon must be planned with precision. Every landing must be controlled. Every machine must survive in a place that wants to destroy it. That is why NASA is not sending only astronauts. It is sending machines first. Before humans build a base, robots must learn the land. NASA's new lunar systems are designed to gather data, test technology, move cargo, scout hazards, and prepare the surface for future astronauts. Because landing on the moon is not as simple as touching down. When a lander descends, its engines blast the surface with high-speed exhaust. On Earth, air slows dust and debris, but on the moon, there is no atmosphere to stop it. Lunar dust can shoot outward at extreme speeds, coating solar panels, damaging equipment, and creating hazards for future spacecraft. So NASA needs to understand the surface before larger missions arrive. How does the dust move? How does the ground respond? Where can heavy landers safely touch down? Where can rovers drive without getting trapped? Where can astronauts work without unnecessary risk? Then come the rovers. Not the simple open-frame buggies of the Apollo era, but modern lunar terrain vehicles designed for a completely different mission. Apollo astronauts drove short distances for a few days. These new rovers are being designed for sustained lunar operations. They must carry astronauts. They must transport tools and supplies. They must move across dangerous terrain. They must operate with humans, without humans, and sometimes under remote control from Earth. A rover on the moon is not just a vehicle, it is a lifeline. Imagine standing near the lunar South Pole. The sun is low on the horizon, casting long shadows across a landscape of craters and jagged ridges. Earth hangs above you like a glowing blue-white jewel in the black sky. Your spacesuit is keeping you alive. Your oxygen is limited. Your body is exposed to radiation.
The nearest hospital is 240,000 miles away. In that environment, mobility is survival. A rover can extend how far astronauts explore. It can carry heavy equipment. It can bring samples back to the lander. It can map the surface. It can help rescue a crew member. It can search for resources long before humans arrive. This is a major shift in space exploration.
The moon is no longer being treated as a place for flags and footprints. It is being treated as a world with logistics.
Power systems, landing zones, cargo routes, communication networks, surface vehicles, robotic scouts.
Before you can build on another world, you have to move across it, and that is where cargo landers become critical.
A moon base cannot be built by astronauts carrying supplies by hand. Everything must be delivered from Earth. Rovers, power systems, communications equipment, scientific instruments, habitat components, tools, spare parts, and survival systems. That means the moon base begins with cargo. Think of it like building the first settlement in an impossible wilderness. Before people can live there, you need supply routes. Before supply routes, you need vehicles. Before vehicles, you need landing zones. Before landing zones, you need scouts. And that is where one of the most futuristic parts of NASA's plan enters the story: robotic lunar scouts. Some future machines may not drive across the moon at all. They may hop. On Earth, drones fly by pushing air downward, but the moon has no air, so a normal helicopter-style drone cannot fly there. Instead, lunar drones could use propulsion to lift off, move across the surface, and land again, almost like tiny robotic explorers jumping from one dangerous zone to another. This matters because the lunar South Pole is filled with places that may be too risky for astronauts and too difficult for rovers. A rover may not be able to descend into a steep crater. An astronaut may not be able to cross unstable terrain, but a hopping robot could scout ahead. It could look over ridges. It could inspect shadowed regions. It could map hazards. It could help NASA decide where future astronauts should land, drive, build, and explore. In a way, these machines are not just tools. They are the eyes of the future moon base. But why is NASA doing this now? Why return to the moon after more than half a century? The answer is bigger than nostalgia. Apollo proved that humans could reach the moon. Artemis is trying to prove that humans can stay. That difference changes everything. A short mission is about survival. A permanent presence is about systems.
Power, transportation, communication, radiation protection, dust control, navigation, construction, medicine, water, fuel.
Every one of these problems must be solved if humans are ever going to live beyond Earth for long periods of time. The moon is the testing ground. It is close enough for communication, close enough for support planning, close enough to learn from mistakes. But harsh enough to teach us what deep space really demands. Mars is much harder. A one-way signal to Mars can take several minutes. A crew cannot return quickly. Supplies cannot arrive in days. A mistake on Mars could become permanent. So before humanity builds a base on Mars, it must learn how to build a base on the moon. The moon is the classroom. Mars is the final exam. And these rovers, landers, and robotic scouts are the first tools of that education. But there is also a deeper reason this moment matters. A moon base would change our relationship with space. For all of human history, Earth has been our only home. Even when astronauts reached the moon, they only visited. They explored, collected samples, planted flags, and came home. But a moon base would be different. It would mean human activity had crossed a threshold. Not just reaching another world, operating there, returning again and again, building systems that survive when humans are not present. Creating infrastructure outside Earth. That is the true beginning of becoming a spacefaring civilization. Not the launch, not the landing, the staying. And staying on the moon will be brutally difficult.